evening. My name is Susan Stevenson, and I'm the chair of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation. I'm calling this meeting of August 27th, 2018 to order. Do I have a motion to open the meeting?
I make a motion that we open this meeting of the Board of Architectural Review and Historic Preservation on August 27th, 2018.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Are you voting?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Curtis?
Aye.
Jeff? Chair? All vote aye. I'd like to make it clear that in this room, everyone will speak and act with civility, please. Also, anyone who intends to speak should sign up in the front so we'll know how to spell your name correctly for the record. And please lay your materials facing the board. I'd also like to introduce our board members. Rob Coburn to my left, Christina Redding. To my right, Curtis Highsmith and Jeff Broadleib. Our counsel, Bo Robinson. Our historic consultant, Zach Studenroth. And Antoinette Edwards, our recording secretary. And Charlie Styler, our videographer. I believe we can start now then. First, we have minutes approval. There were only 3 of us at that meeting. That would be Jeff, me, and Christina. Did I made a correction?
I actually didn't get it because Jolie covered me. I was at that meeting.
I thought I sent it went to you though.
Let me double check it before.
Okay, well then we'll have to wait until the next
Okay,
time.
that's fine. Or I can just make sure that it's done before I send it out.
Do you remember
One
what the
motion.
correction was?
It was,
Minor.
no, it wasn't minor.
Okay.
Okay, never mind.
Okay.
But you got it? Okay, well we'll just have to do it the next time. Can you
I'm
make a
looking
note?
up in my email. Check it.
Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, let's move on to signs.
Okay, the first sign is from Best Modular, Inc. at 495 County Road.
Is there anyone here to represent this application?
Contractor sign.
Here is the sign. Does anyone have any objections to this?
Yeah,
You have the homes of distinction.
yeah, I think it's tantamount to advertising.
I agree. How about if we would to get rid of homes of distinction? I agree too. If we do that, we'll have to let everyone say the best coffee in the Hamptons, you know. All right. So should we wait till the next time? Or do you want to vote
make a
on this?
motion to approve it without that?
Is the applicant approving the removal of the name?
No.
Given the opportunity for him or her to be able to vet out their reasons, their purpose?
There's the applicant, there's no one to represent it.
Okay.
All right, okay. Well, then I don't think we can do anything about it except,
We're adjourning.
yes. So,
I make a motion that we adjourn the sign application for Best Modular.
I second.
Aye.
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 Okay. Okay. Next.
Next is for Brown Harris Stevens. This is for storefront property for their business.
Good evening.
State your name for the record, please.
Doug Moliterno.
Is that an agenda down?
See,
Let me share this one.
do you have a,
Put it down.
You have a diagram?
yeah, do you have a, yeah, that's pretty little. Do you have anything else?
Color and the font for the awning, is
Have
that
a
correct?
sample of the awning?
Yes, that would be helpful. There we go.
Sample material.
Wow,
Now we're talking.
pretty bright. It's not very wide though, is it?
It's about 5 or 6 inches tall at the front.
Oh.
I have
And it's an awning that would project at certain
Does it
times.
go
That awning would be,
In this,
Retractable, fireproof.
and? The font is represented in your... Where's the font? Can I see the font? Is it the same font that was on there before?
Slightly different.
It is.
Bolder and
It's a little heavier, and the caps
It's
are...
smaller.
Yeah, it's in white, which is
White.
nice. Does anyone have anything to say? Rob, what do you think?
I think it's fine. I think it's a nice accent, actually, and the white lettering is nice in the white building.
I think it's an improvement.
I actually really like it. Pops out, even the font. It's not protruding far away from the facade itself, or it becomes overbearing or heavy. I have no objection to the awning.
Yep, same here.
I think it's a little bright, but okay. So, are we ready to vote? I guess we are.
Make a motion that we approve the application to change the awning for Brown Harris Stevens on Main Street.
Second.
Aye.
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 Nay.
Aye.
Chair says nay. Okay, passed.
Thank you for your time.
The next application is for Olivier Vidal at 1 Windmill Lane.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Denise Fenchel for Hampton Signs.
You turn that around. There we go.
Here's the actual sign. Go ahead.
Yes, he'd like to put a sign on both sides of the building, on the second floor, very top of the second floor there.
And this is the actual...
Actually, this,
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Can Charlie, can you get lower down there? That's the sign. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What do you want?
The down, the actual, that's it. The sign is the lower, at the lower end of the page, there is the sign. That's up high, right. That is the actual sign. Great, thank you.
and there is no black border, it's just white.
Just
but-
white,
But we had to
just
depict
bleeds.
it.
Up from there,
It's a
Charlie.
bleed?
Yes.
Up a bit from there, yeah. Thank you. The
The
white
letters, the letter height is about 5 inches high on Olivier, and architecture, the A is about 3 inches.
The white that shows on that sign is very, very bright. Is that just because of
It's just,
Photoshop? and-
just the way it is, yeah, it's,
I don't have an objection to this. Rob?
I'm fine.
Any lanterns, lighting, or any?
No.
nothing? Just replace them as currently.
there's nothing there now.
on the second
The building's almost vacant, yeah.
There's actually going to be life in the building. All right, I think we're ready to vote then. Rob?
I will make a motion that we approve the sign application for
Olivier?
Windmill Lane. Olivier
Olivier Vidal.
Vidal on Windmill Lane.
Second.
Okay, Rob?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Chair, aye. You're welcome. That concludes the signed portion of our meeting. There are no written decisions, and so we're moving ahead to driveway gates non-historic. The first one is 10 Pheasant Close North LLC. Oh. We have a posting and mailing?
Yes.
Go over to the
Yeah, it has to be stamped in by Antoinette.
We'd like to install a double drive gate.
Your name for the record, please.
Oh, Michelle Davis. Fischetto Davis. So I'm the contractor. What we would like to do is 2 pillars with double drive gate, all to code, and placement back 18 feet from pavement, all to code, and a gate operating system.
Is there a diagram of the actual posts in here, or just the gate?
I gave in everything.
There'll be an elevation that you can...
Yeah, we have everything. Yeah. That may not be
I'm just saying it's just an illustration of the elevation here.
There's no post that I can see.
It's just a survey. Others are just surveys.
We actually need to have on record what the posts would look like.
Yes, I thought I gave in separate drawings of the post size, height, and a drawing of it, a rendering.
This is the only thing that I see, and that's a gate, not a post.
Do you have a drawing with you of the post?
Do you have another one?
If I had time, I could probably find the photo. It's the same
really-
post as all.
Yeah, but the problem is that what we're going to vote on
Yeah.
is the actual dimensions of the posts and of the gate. So it's important that we have an actual architectural plan of that particular item, all of it. And I don't see that in
Dimensions of the post have to be on something. I have the dimensions, if I can say them. It's the same, we're duplicating exactly what the neighbors have, all of the neighbors. It's just a standard 2 foot by 2 foot by 6 foot high, white AZAC pillar. Slight recess to give it that
2 feet?
nice 2 foot wide by 2
That's
foot.
wide. All right. I honestly don't think.
We will adjust everything to meet codes. We just, anything that is,
We have to also say that we think it's okay, but
right.
I have a problem because I don't think this is exact enough for us to vote on it.
Can I
So I
also
think, yeah,
comment that, based on my calculations, the gate itself is approximately 35% transparent? If I'm reading the bottom portion, the bottom 3 feet is a recessed panel, so that's solid, that bottom 3 feet is solid across the fence.
And then-
And then it's 1.5 inch with a 3-inch opening between.
Yes.
So we have about a 35% transparency, roughly, to the gate. This is true of the next application as well.
Is that too little, too much?
it has to be 50% transparent.
Typically look for 50%.
So the,
Oh, so you want 50%?
yes,
I thought
we
it
don't
had to
want to
be
have like
less
a
than.
walled community.
Right, so I thought less.
We're trying not to have one. I
Yeah.
don't think we're succeeding, but anyway. So this is the same measurement. I see what he's saying. If it's, yeah, but not here. Well, here, across.
We're trying not to
Across
pass
the
it
whole
because it's a
thing,
bell
it's roughly
style.
35% across the entire fence. I've done the math.
Okay, well,
If you'd like more or less, whatever you want, we'll,
Yeah.
whatever code is, we'll,
so what first we need to have an actual architectural drawing of the gate and the posts. Then we need the gate.
that is, okay.
Yes, the gate, they have, because of the way this is half, this length is half of this length.
Right, 50%,
And so
right.
that's already 50% dark, except for this little part, but when you add in the slats, Rob is saying, it isn't 50% transparency.
So you want more?
Yes.
More
If you look at
transparency,
other
that's fine.
gates, okay.
Yep,
fine.
absolutely fine.
So I'm afraid you're going to have to come back. Are you asking us to adjourn this to our next meeting so you have time to prepare?
I'd like to get this done as soon as possible, however, I have to get it done.
Yeah, well, we can't do it the way it is now. So if
It
you,
would likely not be approved tonight, so.
well, I
my-
don't see how we can, because we
Right.
don't have the plans. So we
Probably have votes
would,
against.
we're unable to, just in procedural matters, in terms of what we need.
I understand.
Do
I
you
think-
understand what you need to bring back?
I would like to write it down a little bit.
If you go to the building department, don't they have a sheet that they pass out?
Yeah, but they don't say anything about transparency.
Oh.
That's not,
I was, from my understanding, I thought it would be, again, bell style for me.
I think what we need are drawings that include the dimensions and the materials for the posts, and then a gate that in total would be 50% or more transparent, open. So
We have to come
however
down in the
that,
height of the solid.
correct.
How far do you estimate?
But whatever it takes to get to 50% transparency.
Okay, all right,
So are you asking us to adjourn to our next meeting?
yes.
Okay, so
I make a motion that we adjourn the application of 10
Move the
Pheasant
applicant's
Close
request to
North
adjourn.
for driveway gates to our next meeting.
I should probably stay here because we're probably doing 20 next.
that's true.
Looking at-
Do I have, so,
So I'll second
okay,
Christina's motion.
we're voting.
Aye.
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 Chair votes aye, 5 ayes. Okay, so we'll see you next time, but I guess we're going to see you on the next
The
application.
next application is for 20 Pheasant Close, the same, the identical application.
It's identical.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you're going to have to,
come back. And the next date is?
Give the posting and name, oh, you already
do you
did
have,
that.
is the posting and mailing in here? Do you have the posting and mailing for this one, or is it in the file?
Yes, everything I just handed in was for duplicate.
Oh, that, I'm sorry.
Yes,
That-
there should be
that's
4
why there were
papers
two
there, I
of them.
apologize.
I'll look through.
All right,
Give me 10, here's 10.
so in the meantime, are you requesting that we adjourn this application of 20 Pheasant Lane, Close North for gates until our next meeting, so you have time to prepare? Okay, so do we
I
have
make a
a,
motion that we adjourn 20 Pheasant Close North for the gates until our next meeting.
do I have a second?
Do you have a second, Mo?
I second it.
Oh, thank you, Curtis. Voting,
Aye.
Aye.
Jeff,
I as well.
and the chair votes
Looking at
aye.
the calendar.
I can leave those postings in the record?
Yes, they're
Yes,
good.
thank you very much for those. You just need, I think the building
You're close.
department could help you, and,
You're close.
okay?
close.
Sorry
Thank you.
about that. We'll see you next time. All right, that concludes the driveway gates non-historic. Now we're on to driveway gates historic. There's one application, which is Connemara Corporation, 50 First Neck Lane. State your name, please.
Mark Cirillo, Auto Gate Systems for the applicant.
Posting and mailing? Great. Oh, okay, thank you.
So, there are 2 driveways on this property. So this is a cantilever sliding gate that slides and retracts into the privet hedge. There's no other columns. There are existing columns on the property. This is going directly behind the existing columns. Gate's made of aluminum, traditional picket style. So the full height pickets are 8 1/4 inches center to center, about 7 1/8 inch gap between the pickets. The half highs at the bottom are what they are, right on center, 4 inches and something apart. The cantilever, the brace section you see to the left of that sketch, that is off the driveway, and that's completely occluded by the hedge, behind the hedge and behind the columns.
And it says black powder coat?
Black.
Are the columns black?
The columns, the existing columns are white. And the purpose of the black color is black is the least visible from the street, like fencing that's coated black, things like that. So because the gate doesn't have really any opacity, any body to it aside from the pickets, the client is interested in seeing as little of the gate as possible.
And this slides to the south, is that correct?
Each driveway has a different direction. So the north driveway slides to the south, and the south driveway slides to the north. That's the way her driveways and landscaping are configured.
And these are existing, this is the existing gate that's being replaced?
No, those are
That's a, two separate
Do you have a
neighborhood
pic,
gates.
is there a photograph of the posts in here?
There's not, I didn't supply a photograph of the subject property.
It's existing.
Right, but it's white and the gate is black. That's why I was asking.
Right, so there are 2 driveways, and the north driveway slides south, and the south driveway slides north?
Correct. have yours.
Sounds like a dance.
So this is an application for 2 gates, one at each driveway.
One in each driveway.
And these are 2 examples.
Those are neighboring
Yeah,
properties
examples.
Yeah,
on
they
First
are.
Neck.
Okay.
Yeah. Black metal.
Any comment from the board?
I have no objections.
Riding through the village, seeing black gates, sound gates, I think it fits in, I think it ties in. I think actually it's exactly what we want to see, something that's from, at least from streetscape, doesn't give such a overwhelming visual impact, kind of blends in with the overall surrounding environment, so I have no issues.
I have no issues. Anybody?
I have no objection.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the application for
It's in the
Connemara.
historic district, yeah, it's been writing.
Are there any public comments?
Any public comment? No. I'm not very popular.
I'll make a motion to approve the application for
It has to be in
Connemara
written,
for...
it has to be
written
written decision. Has to be closed for written decision.
I make a motion that we close this application by Connemara Corp. at 50 First Neck Lane for driveway gates and 2 driveways for a written decision.
Second,
Rob?
Aye.
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 Aye. 5 ayes. Great. That concludes our driveway gates portion of the meeting. We're on to public hearings, non-historic.
The first non-historic is for Christopher and Jean Lynch on Adams Lane, Roscoe Drive. I assume this is still with the ZBA, is that correct?
The ZBA has rendered a decision, so it's up to the applicant as to what they want to do next. I suggest you just retain it on your agenda until that decision is made.
They have made a decision?
The Board of Appeals has.
Okay.
Is there anything here?
Is it a secret? I mean, okay. I'll have
Do
to
you want to
look.
know? It was rejected on the,
It was rejected?
it was rejected on the grounds the application was incomplete.
Okay, so we have nothing to do. Okay, let's move on then. Thank you. Thank you, Bo. Next application, Alexis and Oliver Moses, 88 Pierpont Street, construction of a 2-story single-family dwelling with attached garage and pool cabana. This was the landscaping. Yep,
Yes, the board approved the matters
That's right.
subject to the landscaping. The next-door neighbor wanted some additional screening in the area of the parking, and we provided that. That's shown in the plan. There's also, for whatever it's, I think it's worth a lot, actually, because it's a flag lot, it also had to go to the
planning board.
And the Nelson Pope and Voorhees, in their role as consultant to the planning board, did write a positive report on it, which I hand up for your consideration
Could you
and
just-
review.
Mr. Bennett, could you just put the plan down on the table, because I don't think there's a lot of controversy about this.
Yeah, I have to find it first.
Is there? So I don't think you have to work all that hard to convince us.
And the neighbor has submitted a letter, correct?
Support
Yeah.
via his architect, CMX Sammy.
Right, so
So it's just
he was the person who wanted this,
It's the next door neighbor.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, so that's fine. Yeah, it's just essentially further screening an area that is already screened. The entire, as a matter of fact, I think, and again, Bo will correct me if I've said something, say something incorrect. I think the planning board was satisfied that the property itself is already screened, so the only, you'll see the plan here, is to plant some additional hedge, which will be evergreen, I think it's holly, to the,
Great.
to further buffer the
Right, I
parking
just
area.
want that on the tape.
Oh, sure.
So people can see it. All right,
And let me show you, so that you can see, that that's an illustrative example
Right.
of the hedge. So it's an evergreen hedge. So even when the
Can you
privet,
turn it around, John, just so the camera can get it?
so
turned
sorry,
around?
sure.
Thank you.
so that's the parking area. That's a schematic or elevation of the new hedging, and that's, again, a photo illustrating the type of planting. So it will be in effect even when the privet isn't quite so full. which is half the year, I guess.
Okay.
That's all.
Is there any,
Oh, sorry.
do you have anything? Okay, no. Does anyone have an objection on the board?
No?
Is there anyone from the public who'd like to speak on this? And I think, let's have a motion to approve.
Based on, in particular, on the letter from the neighbor accepting
Well, I
his
feel like
plan,
he's satisfied. But I'm not,
I would like to make a motion to approve the landscaping plan and therefore the final approval for the application for Alexis and Oliver Moses at 8 Pierpont Street.
Second.
Aye.
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 aye. Great.
Thanks,
Good
Pete.
night, Mr. Bennett. Next application is Asimakis and Madrid and Gillis, 5 Potato Field Court. Is there anyone here to represent this?
I don't think
They did not bring in new plans to the building department, but I wondered if someone showed up anyway. Guess not. So,
I'll adjourn it. I'll make a motion that we adjourn the application of Alexis and, Asimakis and Marid
In
Gillis at Potato Field Court.
do I have a second?
I second it.
Rob?
Aye.
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 Chair says aye. Great. All right. And
Next application is for the Mildred Buttonau Family Trust at 29 Ann's Lane.
It's adjourned to September 24th. On next week.
it's on the new agenda, it wasn't on mine. It's been
When did the new
adjourned.
agenda come? Okay.
got
I
it
wish I
today
could
in
tell
the
you,
building-
Rob, but I
I got it
can't.
today in the building department.
So this application is adjourned into, is there a letter in the file?
I don't see one.
It has been adjourned, or they're asking for it?
I believe they're asking for an adjournment.
We should clarify
I
this.
think they asked for it last time.
Did they? Well, then maybe it's in effect. They did. Okay, my error. All right, so there's nothing more to say about that. So it's adjourned.
So it has,
No, that's
Do you
what
have-
we have in the minutes. It says that it was tonight.
No, at least I have in my notes that it's adjourned to the 24th of September.
Okay,
I wasn't here. so
okay,
I'm
so we
sorry.
need to change the notes from Jolie.
I'll talk to her about it, yeah.
Well, okay.
No, but I'm going to have, I'll talk to
Okay.
her, yeah. It's September 10th, you said?
September 24th.
24th, okay.
And there's a letter that I think we've all received tonight on this application, is that
Yeah,
correct?
from Evelyn Conrad.
Well, since we're not discussing it, let sleeping dogs lie.
Okay.
Next application,
Next application is for Stefan Skinner at 68 Post Lane.
is there anyone here to represent this application?
Lisa
it's
Zaloga was
Lisa,
sitting there,
isn't
and she's disappeared.
Yeah, why don't you do a second call on that? She might go into the head.
Well, here's the bad news. She's the next one too, isn't she?
Here she is.
Okay. Hi, Lisa. We're on Stefan Skinner, 68 Post Lane.
So just as a matter of disclosure, I was at a dinner party a couple of weekends ago in which I was introduced to the applicant. He mentioned that he was coming before the board. I said, that's very nice, but there was no discussion about the application, and I haven't seen the file until today, so my objectivity is pretty sound.
Okay.
Very sound.
Buy your drinks?
Okay, great. So we have the affidavits of posting and mailing, right?
Done.
I just turned them in.
Okay, I like to just say it so that everyone remembers.
Thank you.
Are those plans different to the ones?
No, they're not. Exactly the same.
Okay, go ahead.
I will.
Oh,
How many did I give you?
Thank you.
there you go.
Thank you, Rob.
I thought I gave you 5. So Lisa Zaloga, the architect for Stefan and Rachel Skinner. This is a proposal to demolish an existing ranch house and detached one-car garage on Post Lane.
and to build a new 2.5-story house in its location, and also a detached garage. The existing residence is plus or minus 33 feet potentially from Post Lane. The proposal has the porch, the front porch at 30 feet from Post Lane. The neighbors on either side, the neighbor to the west is at, I think, 31 feet, and the neighbor to the east is at 40 feet off of Post Lane. The maximum height house on this lot is 30 feet, so the house is 30 feet high. You can see the pyramid law lines. The house is pretty much centered on the property. The driveway will run down the east side to a garage that's located in the back of the property. The materials are your typical Southampton red cedar shingles on the walls, cedar shingles on the roof, white windows and trim. The chimney is a Glengarry brick, your basic materials. He was looking for a kind of a traditional facade. He really didn't want the gable facing the street, which of course is difficult with the pyramid law, but I think it works. Any questions?
So the garage has a bathroom in it?
The garage has a bathroom in it, a little workspace. Just a powder room, there's no shower. The garage is back there next to the pool, so we kind of tried to make it look cute, facing the pool, but other than that, it's just a garage.
Board members, any comments? Jeff?
My initial impression, and as I said, I will be objective, I find at least a little bit boxy. I know it fits within all the elements of the zoning code, but as such, and perhaps that's problematic with our zoning codes, which have been changed, and I realize this was under the previous 12% and so on. So there's no legal issue in terms of what you can build. It would be a smaller house by about 9 or 10% if it was under the now existing code. But that's not less my issue than when it's built out to the max of the pyramid and being 30 feet from the front. My concern is it's going to appear a bit more massive on a very small street that was and has been up to this point fairly modest houses. I realize there have been some pretty good-sized ones.
Yeah, there's a very large house next to
built too. And my wish is that, and if the applicant were here, and if I were to speak to him over dinner, I would say, maybe could bring it in a little bit.
Well, I just want to say the porch is 30 feet from the street, so the wall of the house is like 38 feet from the street. So it's almost 40 feet from the street, that wall of the house. So the wall of the house is actually further back than the house to the west, and it's about equal with the house to the east. That style house, that boxy two-story, that's the style that he was looking for. It's an old school Southampton village house. And I think that the porch, it's open, it's going to feel open, and it cuts that, it gives it that shadow and that depth that I don't really see it as a boxy, because the west side of it is stepped back, so you read kind of that 3-bay front section with the porch on it, almost as if it were the main, the house that was built in the 1920s, and then maybe it was added onto,
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's the fact that I'm looking at a two-dimensional black and white drawing.
Right, it has that push and pull.
How far back is the west section?
The west section is actually 40 feet, 40.
So 10 feet, let's see,
About 2 feet back.
It's 2 feet back from the east part of the house,
Right.
which is 8 feet, the porch is 8 feet,
Yeah.
8 feet deep. So it's actually 40 feet from the street by the time you get to that.
All right. Well, I'd be interested in hearing from the other board members.
No, it's not.
Oh, here, you want, this is, here's a stamped copy, if you need one.
What happened?
No, she wanted the
I need
6
two stamped plans.
The biggie.
They were in there.
Maybe we'll just, we can stamp one.
Okay,
How's that?
okay.
Since you brought extra ones.
I have a whole bunch.
I know. But this is the same, right?
Yes, absolutely. No chance.
So how about, does anyone else have anything to say? I think it's maxed out, but I don't think there's much more I can say. It's unfortunate, but I think it's it's a nice looking house.
Thank you.
I think it's a generally nice design. I like that western portion looks like it could be an addition to a smaller house. Had a few questions. Danish blend, what is Danish blend? Is it?
That's the good stuff.
That's the brick on the chimney?
It's the stuff we like.
That's flesh pink, sort of with some variation.
Yeah, it has that old school.
Thank you. Am I seeing, I don't see a roof plan in these plans that you handed out, but am I seeing correctly that on the west portion, there's going to be a flat roof?
On the west portion, there's a west roof. No. In the middle of the house, on the south side, on the rear of the house,
Yeah.
there's a shallower roof pitch because I have the two gables. In order to create a nice pitch on the main part of the house.
Yeah.
So
I'm seeing this here, this looks like a flat roof. Is that not a
No,
flat roof?
no, that's two gables. There's,
The gable's going all the way into a front gable that goes north,
Correct.
that goes east-west.
correct. So there's the gable that runs east-west, and then off the south, off the back of the house, are two gables that run, and then there's like a pitched,
Shallower pitch.
shallower pitched roof in the middle.
There's a third-floor deck here,
Correct.
correct? Okay. I just wanted to be sure I was seeing that correctly.
can you actually go out on that thing?
You can. It's not very large.
There is another deck on
The
the
other
second
deck
floor.
am I seeing correctly, this 21 feet from the property line? The second floor deck?
The second floor deck is 21 feet from the property line, correct?
And can you describe the landscaping that's between that deck and the neighboring property?
It's about 14 foot high, evergreen.
Evergreen. On which property, do you know?
That I do not know.
This
This
is the
says
south-
hedge at line.
Okay. I don't know.
Jeff?
No, you already got mine.
I think you have a lot of clip cables, and then you go into a hip. So you kind of sort of, with the 3-story, you do have your clip cables on the side. I'm looking at the northern elevation. Okay, which is good. And what I'm saying is that I think if it would have brought out further, the home would have actually been more boxier. So you kind of softened it, and then you come down with the hip roof where you're bringing it further down. Even though, you have windows, you have second-story deck, you have dormers in the front, which bring a little bit more of the capacity, or leave the vertical high. Still, you were able to keep it controlled and contained, and it's within all of the envelope, the pyramid, the footprint. I was very shocked that you were able to do that with a 3-story.
There's not a lot of space. There's not a lot of space up there. There really is.
It's a lot of living space. It really is.
No, but I mean head height. There's not a lot of space.
Wait, so Curtis and me, we could...
Well, there you go. You can come over.
I'm going to come over. All right.
Wow.
Yeah, but good job. I have no further comments about that.
Anyone else have any comments? Is there anyone from the public here regarding this? Please step forward and state your name.
My name is Elizabeth Mapes. I live at 98 Post Lane, which is 3 houses to the west. So I'm very familiar with this lot, its problems, its good points, and so on. And generally, I think they've done a good job in planning the house. But I do have a couple of related questions. One is that I know that the lot is oddly shaped. So I'm wondering if you can possibly move the house back a couple of feet and still have room for the owner to have a swimming pool back there and a good lot. Is the house pushed forward because you're trying to accommodate the pool, or what?
Well, the pool does need to have 20-foot setbacks, and we do have that dog leg in the back, so I really can't get...
Yes, you can.
I can't go back anymore and meet
all
the
right.
setbacks.
I thought that was probably the reason, but I was hoping that maybe you get a little bit of leeway. Secondly, I think when I looked in the building department, they had a diagram there that showed 6 parking places, so that most of the front lawn area is now taken up with all of this parking. Is it necessary to have 6 in it?
It's required
Am I right
by the building code.
I know it depends on the number of bedrooms. So you must have 6 spaces?
You're not required to have 6 cars.
Okay.
And the way it's calculated, even rooms that aren't bedrooms count as bedrooms. So
Okay.
you have to have.
I know you've got a couple of places like one.
They will probably, I mean, in the front, it's also required that it's screened from the street, so you won't see it. But they will probably do some form of a grass paver kind of thing, so that, because they don't really want all that driveway either.
Right. This leads right into my second comment, which is the fact that Post Lane used to be a street with almost no hedges, open lawns, smallish houses. There was a sense of airiness, which was very unusual for the center of the village, and that is disappearing as all these houses are maxed out, and they all have to have parking in the front, which necessitates a hedge, and particularly because the house just to the west of this house is quite boxy. It's just that we get the feeling that everything is sort of coming forward toward the street and you're being hemmed in. So I was wondering if anything could be done to alleviate that.
This came in before the change in the zoning laws. So I think it'll be less of that, because that law went into effect August 1st, I believe.
But this one still must be hedged in the front and have all of that
Well,
parking?
this doesn't must be hedged. You have to screen the parking, but it comes in under the old code, which she actually has done everything according to the code.
Okay.
Which is why the new code came in. Your objection.
The issue you raise is a concern to us and many of the villagers, and I noticed some of the trustees, and one of the trustees is here this evening. They are endeavoring to recognize and honor that concern. My wife and I used to live on Hunting Street. It was a street much like Post Lane. Now, I think there's only one house that doesn't have a hedge. Totally different street, just in the last 10 years I've been in the village. It's unfortunate, and this...
Tends to cut down on the sense of community.
And this board, within its constraints and authority, does what it can do. But the issues you're talking about are ones that should be addressed to the trustees. They do have an open ear, they do have an open mind, but unless somebody speaks, they won't hear. So it's up to you and your neighbors, and any folks in the village or any folks out here, to make your voices heard and to vote yea or nay on the people that support your wishes. That's why we have public hearings. That's why the trustees have public hearings. And everybody is invited and welcome, and they will listen. Doesn't mean that it's going to change overnight, but if nobody speaks, nothing's going to get done.
And just to follow up on what Jeff said, I mean, the intent on the parking requirements was to get cars off the street, to keep the streets free. But then that could lead to unintended consequences in terms of how much parking is then set aside on certain lots, and this then requirement to screen them and to create this sense of divided streets as opposed to open communities. So there are unintended consequences, and this is a feedback mechanism. So as Jeff has said, making
I'll
your
add
voice...
one more point, and I probably should shut up and go on. But because I was at the meeting the trustee meeting, where the issue of parking was brought up and changed. One of the trustees said that by increasing the number of parking spots required, it would have a negative effect on the size of houses and diminish the size of the houses. I raised the point at that meeting. I said, I don't think it's going to happen that way. I think you're going to have the unintended consequences. Our people are still going to build 5, 6, 7-bedroom houses on third-acre lots, and they will figure out a way of accommodating the additional spaces, and which is exactly what has happened. And our front yards are now parking lots at a lot of houses. And then, to counter that, people put in hedges.
Right.
So then, the open neighborhoods that we had, and that you and other people who've been here far longer than I have would like to preserve, disappear.
Right. Well, I think if the owner intends to put down pavers, that means the type where there's some grass between.
Yeah.
Well, that will be some help, because what is really depressing is to go past a whole series of houses with that yellow stone, little pebbly thing everywhere. So at least that would be better. So thank you.
What I can tell you about this applicant, because they're going to be your neighbors, and without having discussed the plans, to Lisa's point, they are very interested in creating a traditional house, which Lisa has accomplished. So perhaps meet your neighbors.
Yeah, maybe you should talk to them.
I'm looking forward to it.
Lovely couple, even though they didn't buy me a drink. I'm not sure if I'll get one after this, but in any event, Lisa's done a good job. And chat with your neighbors and come before the trustees.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I think, are we ready to vote on this? Okay. Rob?
I'll make a motion that we approve the application for Stefan Skinner at 68 Post Lane to construct a 2 1/2 story single-family dwelling.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Yes.
Next application is 270 Toilsome Lane LLC, 270 Toilsome Lane. Construct a 2-story single-family dwelling with attached garage and accessory pool house. Please state your name for the record,
Check for
sir.
affidavits.
Ron Villano.
Do you have affidavits with you?
That flipped through.
I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Ron Villano.
Villano, that's right. Thank you, sorry.
You're welcome. We're proposing a new 2-story house with attached garage.
In the file?
We just,
You need a 2?
just 2 of the small ones and the 2 larger ones in there with more information, like dimensions.
That makes it hard for us.
But
Next time more, please. It's okay, I looked at the big plans, but they're big. Do you have one of the...
Would you take a large
Set that you
one?
could set down on the table?
yes,
possibly?
no, it's in, can we put one of those, please?
Or is it?
You're welcome.
Do you have copies of elevations that we could use? I see perspective drawings. Are there elevations?
It's in there. Yeah, in the file set. I ran
I've
out of
seen
paper
them
last minute.
before.
I just got back from a trip today, and
Okay.
everybody left, and I was left to do this, so.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry. Shrub, the hedges.
Here, he's still set back.
Still, we're down on it. Go ahead.
Okay, so new 2-story, single-family residence here, 270 Toilsome. If you want to go to the elevation sheets, I mean, just
Right, we didn't do the inside.
Do you want the inside? No.
No, we're not concerned with the inside.
I know that, but sometimes, for some reason, the ARB does that in the past. Elevation sheets.
We're very concerned with the outside, so continue.
I agree. We don't care what they do inside. All right, traditional, following some of the a lot of the houses that are also on Toilsome and other areas in the village. Shingle style, white shingle, black shutters, cedar roof. The attached garage does have the front edge.
Where are the shutters going to be on the house?
I'm sorry, we are not doing the shutters anymore. We are doing just the black trim of the windows.
Okay,
Correct.
so-
Windows and doors.
The garage faces the street, which is a concern of some board members here.
Correct.
Including me.
It's going to be a nice styled door.
Yeah, well, that doesn't really help me. We're really trying not to have
I understand.
garage doors facing the street. And we didn't see a whole lot of them on Toilsome Lane, as a matter of fact. Zero.
Doesn't mean this one can't have it.
It's up to you.
I mean, the detached garage has always had the front-facing garage door.
We're talking about what is existing in that neighborhood right now, sir. So we're saying that there are no front-facing garage doors, and we have concerns about that on the plan.
Well, also,
What's the concern?
The concern is that we don't like to have front-facing garage doors.
Has to be a reason.
Okay, that's the end of my discussion with him.
If you were to read the charge and the authority of the board, and the purpose of the board, it's to promote harmony in the context of development. So, and we are all charged...
I agree. I've been here for 15 years. I understand. And I appreciate preserving the village.
Let me just finish. So, when there's a street like Toilsome, and robbing the village, I think there were less than 10% of the houses in total that had street-facing garages, and surely none in that section. So it's very much a part of what we do to consider whether a design is harmonious to the community. And inasmuch as the attached garage is an integral part of your design, it comes under our purview, and therefore we can make the judgment and the request that we would prefer it one way or the other.
Completely understand. I'll pass that along to the client. I get it, and I'm just going to say, because it's not harmonious to that street.
Anyone else have anything to say? Rob?
Can you describe the brick that you plan to use for the chimney?
Danish blend, similar to what the previous person and everyone else is
They're all
using.
Danish blend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems to-
The vertical board, you say this, I saw a note somewhere that said the siding is all cedar clapboard.
Yeah, white.
The
And then
vertical board is not clapboard, clearly. What is the vertical board at the front door and in the center section?
Vertical shiplap.
I'm sorry?
Vertical shiplap.
Shiplap.
Yeah,
And
correct.
it's made out of?
Wood as well. See, it's going to be, yeah, bit white. It'll be stained or painted white.
The garage gable, the proposed garage gable, which I think, I don't see directions on these plans, but I think it faces west, the roof, the side roof of the garage, is that facing west?
Yeah, so the front of the garage is facing,
Front of the garage?
It's facing north. Right?
so we are correct. Yeah, yes, you're correct,
So
Susan.
this
It's north.
roof here on the garage faces west?
Correct, north.
This roof on the side of the garage faces what direction?
Then, okay, the roof, the side is west then, okay.
It's a pretty big roof, it's a tall roof. With no detailing and no windows and relatively close to the property line, it looks like, I don't have dimensions.
This?
See dimensions here, but
Yeah, it's on the side right
it
here.
says,
So,
Are you talking about the bell, Rob? On the
I'm
bell?
sorry?
Are you talking about on the bell, on the...
I'm talking about the sloped roof
Yeah.
on the west side of the garage. I don't see exactly how far off the property line that is, but it's a big, pretty tall vertical area there on that roof. No windows or no trim to it. So I'm just wondering if there was any thought put into any kind of detailing that could go in there. You're going to face
Trying
a
not to
neighbor
throw.
and have a roof that's visible from the street at an oblique angle. That's fairly...
Try not just to detail things, just to detail them. Trying to keep it more pure, so it's actually historically correct instead of just throwing jewelry at it. So my clients often want to do that, and I always stay away from that, because that doesn't seem to weather well through the years, and those things kind of fall apart and become eyesores later.
I share the concern in the garage door.
And it's just a fact that it's not harmonious, because when you're driving down the road, you're not going to see any other front-facing garage doors except for this one, correct?
It also creates a more massive house. What we've done with other houses in the area, I can think of the one on Moses Lane that had a attached garage where there was room, and I believe there's room here. I haven't looked at the plot plan, but I'm sure there's enough space for you to either reconfigure the house in such a way that you can either put in a detached garage somewhere else on the property.
Yes, sir.
I'm not sure if this is it. No, this is Skinner. So we're not made happy by saying no. We'd rather come out with a solution that works for everybody. Okay. And in this case, there are opportunities to, because you have a large enough lot, to make accommodations so that you don't have to have a garage facing the street. Now, whether that means, and again, I'm not an architect, and I know in other houses we've worked with, and other architects we've worked with, they have been agreeable, amenable, and have, at the end of the day, rotated things such that they could make the turn and the entrances on the side. May mean changing the gables or whatever. I don't know what I'm talking about, okay? But there's also the possibility of putting in a detached garage, which would make it more consistent with the village look. When you start adding an attached garage, you start looking a bit more like suburbia. And that's part of what we're trying to avoid. We spent, if you would watch the tapes over the last couple of months, we had an architect come back a half a dozen times, I think, at least 4 or 5. I want that two-car attached garage. He didn't get it, and at the end of the day, you know what? He said, the house actually looks better without it. So if you can listen to some of the board members, and they may not all agree with me, but I think on that house you have an opportunity to make something that's beautiful and harmonious to the neighborhood and create a village effect.
Yeah, it's not for me to listen, it's for the people that we design it for to listen, so.
And it would be great, to my point earlier, it would be great if more of the applicants came, so that they could hear the folks on the board, they could interact, okay? We don't have to go back and forth, things can get done.
I completely understand. I've been here before,
Ron,
so many boards.
if you can go to R1-0, showing the front right and front left elevations. Rob was trying to convey in terms of showing a break of the, especially specifically the bell. If you look at the bottom, which is the front right, I don't have enough southeast and west here, so I'm just going to go by your, okay? Where you are breaking the slope with the windows and showing just that breakage right there kind of demonstrates a little bit of what Rob was speaking of, and kind of relaying that or replaying that on the opposite side of the house.
Gotcha.
Is that something that's possible?
Yeah, so it's not just a blank.
It's even though it's smaller.
Maybe add a small reverse to the side. Give some additional character to that elevation.
However, if you're going back now, and I'm just saying, I don't know if that's what you're planning to do, but if you're going back now to have that conversation with your applicant about shifting the garage, maybe in your new plan or new design, there's a way to either angle or redirect and now the bell is facing the opposite direction. So your gables are facing not front now, but to the side. I don't know what your solution will be.
I prefer that as far as squaring off. But again, I have to sell it and see.
Okay.
Any other comments from board members?
Just as Curtis was talking, I would just say, and I appreciate you pointing this out on R10 also, that facing sign on the second floor, which has 6 windows, that is an example of a way to break it up, or rotating that form on the west side. But I would also just say those 6 windows on the second floor on the, what is the east side currently, something about the repetition of those 6 windows to me is a little overwhelming.
I think it's kind of oppressive, almost.
If you're going back to look at things, thanks. Those 6 windows in a row feels like a hair transplant, which I have sensitivity to. Sorry. I know that's, I think there's a lot of good architecture here, by the way. I should have said that before I do. I like the general forms, I like the shapes. And if you could just think about that as you think about other things with your clients. And I would also like to see true elevations if you're coming back.
Yeah.
I appreciate the perspectives, but I see elevations.
A little more detail, because even in the front doorway, the pillars, the posts, a little more detail. What are they just simple posts? Is there any detailing at all? Will there be any bracketing?
There is, I got to bring the smaller sets next time, but there is the sheet soil details on it, detailing everything.
Okay, that's on the larger elevation.
Correct.
So, are you asking us to adjourn until our next meeting?
I think I'm going to have to.
I mean, I don't think you have the support to approve this plan, obviously.
May I just ask, do people generally like the form? Are there some things that people like or not? Am I missing something on the general thing?
I don't feel like I can object to the form so much. I agree with you, the windows, there's something odd about it. Institutional about it, and considering then the other side is a blank. There's something, it's unbalanced. But let's just see, I think that they're professionals. They can come up with a good plan.
Yeah, I mean, if you go through the village, everything's about, old houses about symmetry.
Yeah.
And it looks, if you want to call it institution, I call it good architecture. I call things that are balanced.
But you have, those 6 windows are...
Look at any big or small house, they always see that continuous repetition.
Okay, fine, thank you.
And symmetry and axes and... But
Is there any public comment?
I'll come back.
There's someone, wait a minute. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
State your name, please.
My name is Craig Goldberg. I'm the next door neighbor at 258 Toilsome Lane. I've been on Toilsome Lane for over 25 years. As a procedural matter, I received notice 5 days ago, and I believe the statutory term is 2 weeks.
We have an affidavit. It was sent to your local address?
It was sent to my address in New York City. And whether or not you received an affidavit, I received it last Thursday.
It has to be mailed. I didn't do it, the attorneys did it. Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be mailed.
Mailed. Now you don't have to receive it.
Right. 10 days before.
10 days before.
The mailing was
Do you
done
have
on
a
August
postmark?
17th.
The postmark in the city, but we received it last Wednesday, which is 5 days in front of the meeting, and I believe...
It's the postmark, because that's your legal address or your address of record.
Okay, I will confirm that, but I think I think somebody who's been a resident of this village for 25 years should be given respectfully, more than 5 days' notice.
Just saying the way the notice happens.
Okay, I understand that.
Excuse me,
Okay.
Rob, what does the notice say?
August 7th.
No, in the file, there should be the names and addresses of the people to be notified.
We have that.
What does it say for his address?
1040 Park Avenue, 8J, New York.
Is that where you get your mail?
Yes.
But you live in Park Avenue, or you live in Southampton? You reside?
I live in Park Avenue in New York.
And you got it 5 days ago?
Yes, last Wednesday.
So the affidavit says it was mailed on August 17th.
Did you keep the envelope?
Yes, I did.
Would you go back and check it for us just to see when it was stamped?
Yes, I will. As a matter of, since this is the Architectural Review Board, I've only had, a few days to look at this. This house is roughly 2 to 3 times the size of the previous house. which was a single-story house owned by Mrs. Palma. It's 33 feet. As you pointed out, the garage, that wall will stare right into our bedroom. It will tower over all the hedges. I can't comment on the architectural style, but if you look at Toilsome Lane, this in no way fits what I've come to observe on Toilsome Lane, perhaps with one exception, besides the garage. But my principal concern is, given the height and the garage, we will be looking into a roof. And I fear, from a village perspective, will overpower the lot and will not be in keeping with the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to point out that there are no photographs in the file of the neighboring houses for us to get an idea of how this is going to fit into the neighborhood.
The required photos were submitted as far as from the property, looking in.
But from time to time,
Yeah,
the board can request a streetscape.
I totally understand.
So,
I've done studies for other
Christina, are you
projects, so.
requesting that they come back with a streetscape? Christina?
Do you want a streetscape?
I'd like to see how it's going to fit into the neighborhood.
So is that a streetscape, you want, like the neighboring houses?
Photographs of the neighboring houses.
Photographs of the neighboring houses would be fine. And that, we usually ask for that.
That's fine. We can absolutely provide some comparison.
Okay. So you're asking us to adjourn this application until our next meeting, Mr. Valano?
Yes, we are.
I make a motion that we adjourn the application of 270 Toilsome Lane LLC.
Second?
Aye.
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 Aye. All right, see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next application is William and Lara McClanahan, 131 Lee Avenue, construct garage. Before we get started on this, is this before the CBA?
It was closed on Thursday night.
And?
Granted approval, waiting for health department, pending health department.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the approval? Is there written?
No,
It should be in the file.
Yeah, no, I don't have, I was actually taking my son to school, so I wasn't at the meeting, my associate was.
We'd like to see a copy of what the application was.
The application?
Of what the ZBA said about why they're granting this relief to the garage in the front yard. Usually that's part of our file, too.
Okay, I can give you, I can put in.
Could you put it in the file,
Sure.
please? Okay.
But you want the application or the decision?
The decision.
Oh, okay, no problem.
Yeah, as long as it mentions, I do want to see the dimensions. Posting and mailing?
I just handed it like that.
Yeah.
No, I like to just get it on the verbal record.
So this application for William and Laura McClanahan is for a two-car garage. The variance was issued, or was granted for an accessory structure in the front yard. It meets the accessory setback from the street. It actually more than meets it. It's 100 feet where 90 feet is required for the zone and 70 feet is required for the property size. So it more than meets it. You can see so the property is on Lee Avenue. It's undersized for the zoning. It's a 53,000 square foot lot in R120. It also fronts onto Hetty Creek, and the existing two-story house is set in such a way that there's no way to put a garage detached or attached to the house in a conforming location. So that was the reason we went for the variance.
Not even on the east side of the house? East, not wetland side?
That's where it's located.
Yes, that's a...
That's a detached garage, correct. Oh, so the existing house, the way the house is laid out, the entire front of the house is bedrooms. The kitchen and the public spaces of the house are all set in the back of it on the west side. You can see this porch here is actually the entrance. That's actually their front door.
Right, but
So to get,
Those detached garage is even farther from the front door, no?
the detached garage is further from the front door than if it were attached to the house. But if I were to attach it to the house, I would have to renovate the entire house because those are bedrooms with windows. So I need egress and light and ventilation and all those kinds of things. So they agreed with the necessity for the variance, so that's what we're doing. So the proposed garage is a flat roofed, 12-story high.
12
12 foot high.
12 story.
No 12 stories.
12 story, it's going to be a parking garage.
That might be useful over there.
Yes, 12 feet high garage. And the purpose of that, again, is because it's detached, because it's in the front yard, and those are bedroom windows, they want to be able to kind of look out over it. They weren't looking to have a 16-foot high roof there. And the street, if you drove down there, the property is completely screened. I have baby sets. Do you guys want them? They're exactly what you have.
I drove down. What's screened about the front? There's nothing screened. You can see right in the front yard.
Yeah, the only place you can see through it is the gate. The rest of it is
Evergreen.
cedars.
Arborvitae.
Arborvitae. The entire, it's
But it's
entirely-
high up, isn't it? It goes up
What goes up?
a lot.
No, because it's actually heading down towards Hetty Creek.
Where the house is.
I don't know if I have a picture of the shrubs in front.
That's all right. I'll look at it again, but I did look at it.
Okay. I mean, this is the front, that's the gate there, and this is the street behind all this greenery. You can't see the street in any way. I also have, from when I went to the Zoning Board of Appeals, I have 3 letters of support from the neighbor to the south, the neighbor to the north, and the neighbor across the street. So they wrote letters of support to the ZBA, so I'll give those to you as well.
They wrote letters regarding the design, or that there was a grant?
They saw the designs, and they wrote letters of support to the Zoning
I'd
Board of
like to
Appeals.
see what
so-
they actually say. Okay.
They were sent the drawings.
These don't really address the design.
No, like I said, they were letters for the ZBA. They saw the drawings and as well as the survey, but those, I'm just giving them to you for your information.
Okay.
And then the goal is that this freestanding wall that will be facing the street will actually be, it's going to be concrete blocks that have decorative pattern in them so that she can plant climbing hydrangeas and things on them. So that wall that's facing the street will actually become a green wall.
Well, that's,
Right now, they have 3 grown kids, and there's parking, they park on the grass.
It can't be our concern.
No,
Only
I know, but I
concern
mean,
is
they're
the
trying
dwelling.
to,
Sorry.
they're trying to get rid of the cars on the grass and the lawn.
Well, I had real concerns about this design. I felt it was iconoclastic in the neighborhood, that it was obviously the first thing you see because it's in the front yard and therefore should be carefully looked at. The fact that those concrete, because it says pattern, what did it say?
Decorative concrete.
Decorative concrete.
Right.
The fact that there might be something growing on it is a plus. But I don't know, it seemed to have nothing to do with the house and very
That was
little.
the goal, actually.
Yeah.
She doesn't feel that the house has any architectural character whatsoever.
We can
And she
only
wanted-
see the side of the house,
Yeah, she
really.
wanted to stay away from trying to mimic anything with the house.
But I also
So-
don't think it relates to anything else on Lee Avenue, which is traditional in nature for the most part, except for that one setback house that just amazes me.
The goal was to make it more disappear and blend in behind the trees and the landscaping, and that's the reason for the green wall, so that you're
The
not looking at
disappearing
it.
part, I like.
It's 100 feet back from the street, and the only
But
place
still,
you
it
can see it
is
is
right,
that through that,
you know, if you
through the
look
gate.
down there, that's what you're going to see, obviously, because it's the front yard. The house, there will, you know, is so far back.
Most of the other I mean, part of my conversation with the ZBA was that most of the other houses on the street are much closer to the street. So when you are driving down Lee Avenue, you're actually seeing houses.
Correct.
And there are actually garage doors facing the street on Lee Avenue. But you will see, you know, you see houses at this point. Their property, just in the way it's set, the house actually happens to be almost 170 feet from the street. So they
Right,
really
so
don't
the thing
have
we
a
see
choice
is the garage.
at 100 feet back.
Yeah.
And that's why it's kept low, and that's why it was going to be a green wall.
Board members?
I have no objection.
Yes.
It's minimum, it's going to have minimum impact. You are going to have basically a live surface, which will be even more mass. I have no concerns with the application presented. It's 100 feet back, you're not going to see it from the street. You literally have to walk on the premises, the property, to look at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty much in line with Curtis, because Lisa made a good presentation in terms of describing and explaining the logic that went into the planning and the design. And of course, making a green wall makes me happy. I'm sure it'll make all the deer happy as well, but...
Hopefully they can't.
So I'm okay with it, Lisa.
Rob?
You know, it's a modernish form, but I understand why is to keep that roof line low and to make it go away. I'm of two different minds on a decorative wall with the vine on it. I mean, I would, frankly, I think prefer to see that weathered wood that you're using and then a planting in front of it. And so I'm not sure why you introduced the concrete block wall at all.
Well, I started with the wood. I was thinking a slatted wood wall that would be similar to the doors. But they find that it'll just be a maintenance problem, you know, over time. It's not the
Climate hydrangea will be as well. I speak
yeah.
from
Well, but that'll be
personal
stuck on concrete. That'll be
down.
okay. You know, that the wood would over time, you know, because they really do want to plant it out. So it was a maintenance more than anything else.
But they've chosen to put that freestanding wall on the west side of the property. Is there any reason why that freestanding wall can't go on the other side and shift everything over and just have a wood-clad side of the garage near the street?
I mean, that alleyway there is actually what their plan is to, behind that wall, put their bikes and their kayaks.
I'm just wondering why that alleyway can't be on the west side of the building as opposed to the east side of the building.
I don't know that it couldn't, other than that she really wants the green wall facing the street, because she kind of wanted to, you know, wall that off in green. So I mean, we talked about it, because obviously when we were at the ZBA, we had the garage closer to the street and we moved it back.
I know it won't read necessarily like this. There are not many freestanding walls in the village. There's one a couple streets away on Halsey Neck, and it looks dated, honestly, and it looks a little funny. So even with the landscaping, I'm concerned that won't look harmonious, that it'll stand out over time. So that's my concern. No other.
Can you see it
It's not
from the
the plans.
street?
It's not the plans.
You can't see it from the street, that wall. It's the green walls that face it.
The green wall is what faces the
That's
street.
what I'm saying. That it's freestanding, though. It's a freestanding wall. It just sits there 4 feet or so off of
Yes.
4.5 or 4
It's
feet.
underneath the roof overhang, though, so I don't think from the street you would
It
know
won't
that it was
read.
freestanding.
All right.
But does it go up to the roof line?
It goes up to the roof line, yeah. It goes up.
Touches
That does not touch it. It's about, yeah.
Christina?
It's such a difficult lot, and I understand the challenges, and I think you've come up with about the best solution that can be. I mean, I'm kind of a sucker for green walls, so
I didn't know.
I would vote for growing something on it, but I know how hard that is.
I've said my piece.
You said,
I'm good.
I was completely against it, but I like the green wall. I like the idea that, because I think it really is,
Yeah.
and it would be what I would consider something of an eyesore with that house behind it. which I saw, I don't know.
You were looking through the...
Maybe I
You were
went
looking
there.
through the open gate.
I was, but people do look through
I
the
know,
open
I'm
gate,
kidding,
and
I'm
people
kidding.
live on that street, and they don't have a one-story, structure like that in their front yard. So already, you've been granted kind of a special situation, and I feel that we need to examine that in a way that wouldn't be a detriment to the neighbors. But having seen, if the stuff grows on this stuff, which I do think is on its own scary in later life, which it shows up sometimes in sort of older buildings, I think it's okay.
Okay.
So I guess we're ready. Is there any commentary from the public? Other than the letters, but those weren't about the design. Nope. Okay. Motion to approve, we have?
I make a motion that we approve the garage on Mee Avenue for William and Laura McClanahan.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
Rob?
Nay.
Aye.
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 Sorry.
No problem.
That's okay. You should vote your conscience. Next, we have public hearings historic.
First public hearing historic is Thomas and Meredith Joyce, but I believe that's still continued, is that correct?
Correct, but again, I'm going to ask you to make a decision on this for the September meeting because it's been on the agenda too long with nothing happening.
So what is the decision that we would be making?
To strike it from the agenda.
What?
I think it's
To
been on the
strike it
agenda
from the
now
agenda.
for 16, 18 months, I'm not sure.
Is that right?
Not now, not now, in September.
Oh, at the time of that meeting, if no one shows up?
Well, Mr. Bennett will be here, I'll tell him, but, somebody needs to explain
Okay.
to the board why this is going on as long
All
as
right.
it is.
So,
It just can't stay open forever.
I hear you. All right, so that's adjourned until September 10th, which, the next is...
Next is Chickamauga LLC at 500 Captain's Neck Lane.
And just, the two board members who weren't here, I believe, have watched the tape, is that correct?
Yes.
So they're up to speed on this, and I hear there have been changes according to...
Really? New plans?
Yes, that were not, I went at 9:30 today, but evidently...
Believe it or not, no, they were sent by FedEx on Wednesday afternoon. They did not arrive to my office until Friday afternoon, and I already had meetings out east for clients who were out here for, So we did, though, I believe Diane did send an email to you that we brought these in this morning. They were in by 10 a.m. And actually, let me just start all over.
Oh, right. Introduce yourself.
Melissa Dedovich, Peconic Environmental Associates. I'm here on behalf of Chickamauga LLC, otherwise known as for us 500 Captain's Neck Lane. It's a lot easier. Just to remind the board, and I appreciate that the two board members who weren't in attendance did take the time to watch the video. I thought we had a very productive dialogue with the board the last meeting. We walked everyone through the project. It's a 6.5-acre property. A portion of the existing house is historic. We believe that the work that we're doing with the preservation and the restoration of that portion is actually bringing more attention to the historic section. We did listen to the comments made by the board. The client was actually receptive. And so we have the architect of record, David Bay, here is going to talk about the changes we made that were all directly per the directives of the board. And I also have Joel Snodgrass, who is our historical consultant, if we have any other questions for him. I've sent up some mini plans, and this is the landscape plan again, the amended renderings.
Good evening, David Bay, the architect for this project at 500 Captain's Neck. During the last presentation, I think there was quite a bit of discussion focusing especially on the street-facing facade, which faces west onto Captain's Neck, and especially some of the proposed changes to these two one-story wings that flank the central bay of the historic structure and form the entry courtyard. And so we took another look, and we essentially reverted back to the existing condition, which is to say, to maintain the existing hip roofs. And on the northern wing, there are these 4 original ventilator windows, and to basically replicate that exact facade on the southern wing.
Great.
In addition to that, I should mention to you that, in talking with my client, they felt kind of the loss of light in that room, removing that very large window we had previously proposed. And so if I can direct your attention to sheet 14 in the handout, I just wanted to let you know that there is one additional change that we are proposing from the previous proposal, which is, so again, on top is the existing elevation and below is proposed. And here is that 1-story bay, which on the northern wing is currently the 2-story attached garage and the small window in the side door. We had previously proposed this central French door with side lights and a matching double hung window. We've added one additional double hung window towards the west. So that is the one additional change.
I'm sorry, I've got lost here.
Which one was added? The one on the west or the east? The right or left?
Your right.
So the west.
Yes, to the west.
And the other thing I just want to point out, which I think we just glossed over because we spent so much time last time, is to remind the board that this is the historic portion of the house. And if you look at this is, remember that 1998 edition, and it went forward. This is, so actually what's happening is that's being cut back. We're putting the window here. And this connector that was here is also being removed. So, which actually, God bless you, which actually brings, again, prominence back to the original historic house.
Right.
I was going to say, the only other thing that I can remember the board we were talking about was the addition to the back, the modern addition, which we were trying to explain so you could picture. I think the easiest way to actually look at it is on the renderings again. Now again, this is only 13 feet high. This is all open. That's all screened. The only reason it's called pool house is because it has a roof on it. But that's all screened. And the other thing that we thought was very hard for everybody to wrap their heads around was the fact that, we'll go back to that. Is the fact that if you remember on our materials thing, this is actually going to be weathered cedar. This is going to be a cork material we talked about. If you look at the rear, now when you see that the weather cedar goes with the new weather cedar on the roof and everything else, how it blends in, it's much more harmonious now. I think that's a more accurate rendering that we were able to provide now.
That's right. We had made, we had rendered it as...
Here's where it is. We were trying to find
Oh, yeah, we were looking for that.
We have it.
Okay.
It turns more gray, right?
It does, absolutely.
Remember.
It turns, and there's when you look at the last sheet of the handout on the material sheet, that's an actual photograph of weathered cork. That's this image right here. So that's the exact same material as it's weathered over time. The middle image in the center.
I think everything that we discussed has been addressed. I think modifying that previously, constructed section, which is quite dominant before, setting that back, I think, is a very effective treatment of that. And then, of course, those little pavilions in the front, which became
The jerkin.
windows and the jerkin head roof. There was just a little bit too much detail going on there, and I think by modifying that back to the original, you've really satisfied that aspect of preserving.
Right, I agree, because that's the first thing you
So
see.
they're right there. Yeah.
And those, I know the back had been, they had stretched it out and put that, I actually knew the house before.
So those little pavilions are really
It's
working
different.
as stable-like
Yes.
structures with those high-up windows. That's how that reads, and of course, that is the historical roots. So I think that's very effective.
And a couple, just two quick questions.
Go ahead, Ron.
The natural cedar posts, what does that mean? Are they?
They're
is it
western red
logs?
cedar. They are not logs.
Sawn
They're
board.
sawn boards, 4 inches thick, just fully clad on a 4-inch, over a 4-inch post.
And it will weather to silver.
Absolutely. Well,
My other question has to do with the cupolas. There are two that I see on the building.
yes.
One on the main form, and then one on the northern wing. And it just strikes me that the one on the northern wing, at least on the western elevation, looks bigger than the one on the top of the house. And to me, that makes the one on the top of the house look like it's a shrunken head. So I'm
You're talking about
wondering-
this and this.
Yeah. I'm
Right.
wondering about those two. I'm wondering if that cupola is even needed on the other form. I kind of like the slight non-symmetry to that, but it's funny to me that that cupola is larger
It's
than the other cupola.
interesting because there was a bit of discussion about that. That cupola is existing, so we're assuming it's original. We were told that
I'm sorry, which one?
they're both original.
original.
They're both original. They exist in the house right now. We were told that this was the stables and this was the tack room, and that the stables required ventilation.
Yeah, they were ventilators.
So we would be willing to.
No. Don't think about it. We'd like to at least have some, we'd like to keep what there is. I realize that there are challenges, but that's original.
Yeah, also, if you look at it, it carries the angle from the roof, the eye vertically and creating space. If you took that off, I think.
Yeah, that thing is,
I'm not saying take it off.
flat.
I'm just saying that it's funny that the one in the dominant form is smaller than the one on the subservient form.
if
I
they're
think the one
original.
was practical and functional.
And the other one was probably
The other
decorative.
was purely decorative.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So happy you got rid of that connector.
Yeah.
It absolutely kind of, it changes the form of the house. It's actually, it's a very bold house to begin with. This brings it down,
Yeah,
softens
I
it up.
agree.
I'm really interested at that rear little window. Looks like a little chapel. It looks, yes. If you look at
The kitchen,
yeah.
That's the kitchen.
believe it
That's
or
right.
not.
It just look, it's so cute, but this was a great attempt at bringing something extremely historic and bringing some unique new features to it and really not overwhelming it. So I say successful job and congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Curtis has said it very well.
Christina?
Thank you for the changes.
Yes, you
Oh,
did a
no,
really
my
good
pleasure.
job
Yeah,
of listening to
well, I'll
us, and I
thank my
really
client.
think it somehow looks like the house I knew a long time ago, that it has a quirky charm, let's face it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are we ready? Is there anyone from the public who wants to speak? Joel, I don't think it's necessary for you to speak. I don't want to diss you, but...
No, please don't.
Okay, are we ready to vote on this application then?
Historic.
I make a motion
Written
that we
decision.
approve the application.
Oh, no, it has to be closed for written decision, because it's
Oh,
historic.
that's right. I make a motion that we close for written decision by our council the application on Captain's Lane of Chickamauga.
How do you say it?
Chickamauga.
Okay.
Chickamauga, whatever.
I second
I've
the
been
motion.
practicing all day long.
We just call it 500 Captain's Neck.
And I vote aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Really thank you for listening. It
Welcome,
came out
thank you.
very nice.
I think it's going to be beautiful.
Next is 9 Main Street LLC, 9 Main Street, amend a prior ARB approval with revised front facade. Please state your name for the record, sir.
Do you have affidavits for us? You got affidavits in. Okay.
It's our old store. Looks fine.
Mailing.
Good evening, members of the board. Timothy S. McCauley of Council of the Perkins Sullivan.
You can speak up, but we can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
41 Meeting House Lane.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your first name.
Yeah. Timothy S. McCauley,
Timothy.
That's it.
41 Meeting House Lane, Southampton. For the applicant, and I have William Schultz, the architect, is here to answer any questions you might have. The building is located about 4 buildings south of where we are right now. It's on the same side of the street. And of course, it's in an historic district, being on Main Street. It has facades that are on Main Street itself and also on West Main Street. Back in May of 2016, this board granted a change to that front facade. We're now back here asking for a modification of that. Since we were at that board, we've gotten planning board approval. We have health department approval subject to an easement to place a new IA system in West Main Street. We've been to the trustees. The trustees have agreed to allow that easement subject to the appropriate documents and approval from the from the village attorney. So basically, you have the handouts? I gave them out. You gave them to them? Okay. So the package that you have is showing what the existing is on the second page, and on the front page is what we're proposing. Pardon me?
I thought when I looked at this in the file, I don't remember, I thought this seems like a different
Can I see the building
facade.
permit?
Yeah, we want, yeah.
What is an IA system?
It's an innovative alternative system. It's the new one that's been approved by the health department. It's a low nitrogen system.
Septic.
Yeah, oh yes, it's a sanitary system, yes.
How many gallons per day would it be producing?
I don't know, I'm not an engineer, and all I know is the health department has approved it subject to the easement. I don't know. But it's been before the health department.
Understood. Most times they...
Pardon me?
It has nothing really to do with this. This is my own personal question. I apologize, but they usually produce it so that it's expandable, so you're able to...
We have an expansion built into the easement area, and yes. And we have a grease trap. The whole thing is put together that way. And it was all engineered after it took about a year to get it all approved.
I bet it is. I don't know.
Do you have the original?
Okay, that's what I'm going to hand up right now.
Because I don't remember these being black windows. I'm confused, and I've paid attention to this. I feel like something.
I don't think there's a change in the color, is there? There's not a change in the color, but what I want to do is hand up what was approved back in...
We need to see what's different.
This is what was approved originally. Is this?
We don't have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the And this hand.
Right, I'm going to hand it up to
We're
you
gonna
right
hand it
now.
out.
And also, for the members who weren't on the board at that time, and I don't know if it was made part of your package, but I have the original decision.
That would be great, thank you.
So the second floor was approved originally, and...
I understand the
this-
second
this
floor.
first floor was
You're asking
approved.
for
Remember the second
change
floor
on the,
was approved, but I don't remember.
no.
Retail
I thought it was
both.
going to have like a coffee bar and all that upstairs. Did you change?
Downstairs, no, that stays the same.
I was all excited, huh?
The coffee bar and retail
But I
downstairs
thought there was a
and retail
circular
upstairs.
staircase.
There's a staircase in the center, yeah, there was.
There was?
Originally, there is. So,
Yeah, originally, we were proposing to rent, to lease out the space to one retail establishment, but the reality of the situation is that that's not working. So we want to change the doorways so that in the future, if we're not able to rent it to one tenant and have two tenants, we can do so. That's why we're keeping the one door on the south just the way it is and moving the other door 3 feet to the north, so that there'll be one right on the north edge and one on the south edge.
Well, I haven't had a chance to read the previous decision, but this seems
One
a
important,
lot darker than what's on the original approval.
we're not, to my knowledge, we're not proposing
Incriminating the change.
any change.
In case they want another door, in case they need to rent out the top space, it's not part of,
Okay.
but that doesn't mean it needs to be as,
Yeah, we also can change the color. I mean, it can be white.
I need more time to see this stuff, because this is completely different from what I had envisioned.
I see, so we're going to keep this door now.
Susan, when you say darker, what I'm seeing is that on the original...
It's all glass. There's more glass, so you're seeing more.
So also, there's a gray trim as opposed to black trim, and it looks like the lighting, the implied lighting that's put in through the Photoshop program is brighter in
Because
the
there's-
first one than in the second.
Yeah, because
Yeah, I think it's a
That's
Photoshop.
maybe a little unfair.
We're not asking this board to change one bit of the color that was approved or was shown to this board back in 2016.
Because that looks gray on the trim, and that looks black on the trim, what I'm on. So that you're not, which color are you asking for us to approve now, gray or black?
We showed it as black. Showed it as black. But that's just on the door trim. Everything else is clear glass. Non-reflective glass.
And just for the record, we're not asking for any changes on the second story.
And all the stucco is white, so it would just be the two door trims themselves.
Just what we
Absolutely.
Except this door, the south door is there right now.
Yes, in that
Right.
location.
So the previous application was to eliminate that existing door and center a double door in the middle of the building.
Correct.
They're asking to keep that door and simply create a second entrance.
Right, well, there is a second entrance already, but we're going to move it 3 feet.
Right.
There are two entrances there. There's two tenants in the building now.
I see the logic in that.
And one important thing, from the last decision by the board, was found not to be a contributing asset in the historic district, the building itself.
This door stays and this one is over.
They're just, it's taking the doorway.
I see
Separated,
that,
yeah.
but the effect is
So we're saying that
way
this
black
door
and way
will
modern.
provide-
I don't mind the
this door
second
will
part
provide
story, but I...
access. This door is going to provide access.
The northern one
and
that's
this door will
proposed,
provide access to
the south one will provide entrance to the bottom floor, and the other one will be to the top floor. And we have an elevator in the back, so that's all handicap accessible, all of that's proposed.
Hold on. This was...
No, that's That's approved currently.
Yes, and the other thing is much more, the door, I believe,
The doors were spread, they were separated.
I get it, but I think the windows come down the same way. I mean, we don't really have.
Receive health department approval?
I'm sorry?
When did you receive health department approval?
We don't have, it's subject to the easement. I think it was probably in the spring.
These doors are not the same as the approved.
I'm sorry?
These doors are not the same as the originally, the plan we approved earlier.
Works gallery.
They just made that up as a.
We just, there's no tenant. The work gallery is an old gallery, just to make it look more friendly, the rendering's more friendly. And again, I think if I put more things in this window that, like I have here, it would be brighter.
I find that you've now taken what was sort of quasi-modern and made quite a modern facade there, the proposal. It doesn't have the same feeling
The windows didn't change.
as what we approved earlier.
I think it's really just that on the original, that there's more, and that we had more time to put the background in, behind the mannequins and all that stuff to make the inside of the store lighter, which, we're more than happy to do here.
Rob, what do you think about this thing?
But the windows are the same size, and so it's just one large,
I
you're
get
seeing
what
one large
Susan's saying,
window.
but I think I feel like I'm being a little prejudiced by the fact that the Photoshop work on this current application is darker than what was there before. As to the question of the modern form, I think it was sort of a mid-century modern look, what was approved before. It's a little sleeker now looking, but I don't have any objections.
Because it's the big expanse of glass, I guess, starts that out. The black, this is gray, as far as I can tell on here.
I think there are a lot of picture windows of that size, aren't there, on Main Street?
Where?
Oh, Ed Archer has them, and right across the street,
No,
the
there's
two
a
new
door.
buildings that were put in where the old Brooks
The
used to
door's in
be.
between it, Edward Archer. This was the thing that we said yes to. The thing that I don't like is the thing that has the doors on either side, and it's become kind of a sleek, contemporary facade, which I actually am not in favor of. If you can ameliorate that look by changing how the doors look, maybe I'd be happy with it, but I'm certainly not happy with it now. Where are the, unfortunately, I need to see in small set, the thing we approved, the actual plan, which I have a big plan of that, which I just saw, but I'd like to see in the plan with your proposed plan, which I don't seem to be able to find.
Susan, we have the written decision, which is...
Yeah, it doesn't say what color.
The front door unit will be a contrasting color to the white stucco type exterior. Painted white as will also be the trim and fenestration.
But if we saw the,
Don't focus so much on the language. The language only is an
let's see the
interpretation of the plans. Look at the plans.
I want to see the plans. Do you have so there's a giant. Here's the 2016 plan, but
On the amendment, we're showing a partial plan, just the facade, on the small.
You have the plan from 2016 in front of you now? Okay.
Will, may I ask a question on this architecture, the new proposal? the window comes out proud of the doors on each side? By a
Yes.
few feet?
The doors are, the one door that's on the left stays the way it is.
Glass corner on each
Yes.
side?
And I do like keeping the corner open the way it is now, because, the building on the corner is set back, and it's nice sort of to have the corner open. Keep it that way.
It's the way it is now. It's just like that with the window coming out.
Susan? This is existing.
Right, I know that.
Which is, there's no uniformity, it's just,
But we're getting a set of the otherwise on the next slide.
you saying you're comparing this to a Saks?
Well, it's just a big, sleek facade. Really.
The only way to get around that is if they had like an entranceway or hallway, and that's never going to happen. So, to some extent, it is what it is.
So, let me ask you a question. If they reduce the,
Glass in the doors.
not the glass, I think you have a problem with the boldness of the black outline. Is that what your issue is highlighting the glass? Is that what your challenge is?
Well,
Ask this one. Is that it's so bold, it highlights and shows,
This is what it is now, right?
if they were
What
to...
it is now, we don't need, because that's
we have
not
to
what we're
put-
dealing with. We need to see, I'm looking at the previous plan.
yeah, see, we were able to put
If they
more
were
light
to reduce
in the
the
background here,
boldness of
the
the
rendering, and we're just showing it. We didn't have time to put all
of the
that detail
front,
in.
that
So
satisfy your issues.
just put that into here, I think. I know a little more.
I'm not sure I'm getting what your objection is, so I can maybe try to address it.
Actually,
I don't think the rest of the board has an objection.
I have no objection. If there's a difference, and I think what Curtis was going to, the width of the framing, if that would ameliorate any concerns, is that where you were going?
I was trying to find out where your concerns were. I don't think that...
That's what was approved previously.
Yeah. that was
Which,
it.
nice. And now we've got this. No, this.
No, that's proposed.
Right, this black thing. Because it's taking the double space, you know. It's not just the opening. It's a big span.
Was the consensus of the board okay with the applications proposed?
Is it? Rob, are you down with it, as they say? Here's what we approved.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, such a different feeling. I didn't mind the modern part above if it had this part below, but now that we have both, I feel we've made a dramatic change to Main Street, which I think is inappropriate, I guess.
It's only 3 feet of glass that you're really filling in there.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
that's all it is.
It's the same amount of glass, it's just the doors are getting separated. So it's this, and we're putting the 2 glass panels together. And I think the issue is on here, we didn't have time to put the background in,
Because it's such a big span of glass.
I mean, if I put the lights
It is going to come.
and everything that's behind in the store, in this rendering, it will look the same.
That's why I wanted to show you the existing. There's a lot of glass in the front right now. A lot.
Yeah, it would be the
Sir,
same
we have
amount.
to walk by that to do our job all the time. We've seen it, yes, sir. But I was perfectly happy approving this. Charlie? And I think that is extremely different from what we're seeing. This is proposed now. So I could not vote for it.
But if the overall consensus of the board are okay with it, and they'll allow me to do a lot laboring over this.
Well, I'm sorry, Curtis. I am laboring over it, and I need to. I don't think we have really
Oh, we have to find a way to get to the second story too, so, so that's where we are with it.
What was the previous plan? Was it to enter from the rear? When you
No,
got
they
this
had a-
approved?
No, we were going to try
They had a
to, we had a
staircase.
proposal to rent the whole thing to one retail, but that fell through over time.
Okay.
It took a long
They had
time
a
with the health
staircase
department, and
internal.
things changed.
Got it.
So now we have to provide, what's out there in the market.
Christina, what do you think?
Well, I think that the issue is that what we did agree to is more harmonious with this building,
And keep going to
To
the
the
right.
south, the building to the south.
the building to the south. But I understand the rationale between this, and I think that it is confusing because of the darkness of this. I don't think it is going to be that dark, and this window is going to come out.
I think that's the Photoshop problem.
Yeah. I just need to add more of the inside the store that's light. Behind the glass. We just didn't have enough time to put behind the glass what we did on the other end.
What is the dimension of the glass? Not the whole storefront, but the glass window? 17 feet.
And before there were 2 8-foot
It's
sections.
just a panel or just an awning?
That's an awning.
What's wrong?
And again, that's not part of it. I mean, it could be,
No, but I'm just saying in this rendering, you can't see what's behind that.
oh, it's white.
That's the
white
white
stucco.
wall.
Yes.
Okay. So that misrepresents.
Absolutely. It's like someone took a magic marker and just went across.
It
Yeah,
looks like a
this
big
is
black.
what's behind, it's white.
And that
behind all
accentuates the expanse of glass, which is also dark.
This is what we would,
And the awning has not been approved. I mean, the color of the awning is not.
This is what,
Before the
so I
board.
didn't mind with that, but I really haven't, I think it dramatically changes. They haven't really given us where the plans of this. So I think the feel of that is so incredibly different. Not particularly.
If it was one company, one store, one department, it would be one thing, that's one entryway. Now we have an opportunity for the space to be, A, rented, B, it's not out, no, I think we get too far over appropriateness, where this does not fall under the any provision that goes outside of appropriateness or beyond appropriateness. And I'll yield to Zach, who's our historic consultant, if he sees that this in any manner, and maybe this is something just from a visual aspect, you have to go back and just come back with better design or sketch or Photoshop or use another program that can highlight this a little bit better. Maybe the shading is too dark. I just think that you bold the outline of the window so much, it almost looks like someone took a magic marker and colored it in, rather than it being actually a representation of what this is going to look like when it's complete.
Not my expertise.
I think that's true.
And then you look at the awning on top, and it's just like overly...
But this is
Because
not
we didn't-
even really the awning. I mean, if you compare it to the awning of the existing, this so-called awning goes all the way up the cornice line. So it's occupying the entire masonry area, which is actually white. It's not black.
I don't.
I think this is a misrepresentation.
Is the awning black or white?
We don't have it tinted yet, so we haven't, it could be
So
white.
there's no awning there. It's not going to be
There's no awning.
Well,
This
it says
really ought to be
awning in the
white.
plan.
I mean, it would
I mean, I
change the
could-
look of it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't we have to come back
We'd
to
have to
ask
come
you
back
for
for
that awning?
an approval.
Yeah.
So it would be, could be striped, could be white and gray.
As of now, though, we would be approving the black awning that's on here, I believe.
No, they have to come back for
No, we'd have to have
awning.
a separate
No,
application.
we would have to come back for a final awning.
I'm
I could take
concerned
the
about-
awning off, for now, and you can see the white stucco behind it.
And that's a good point, because at
Which is
some point
what's
that awning, or
here.
if there's an awning, will have to come back before this board to be approved.
Well, I'm not
Right now,
concerned about
we're
the
looking at the
awning.
window as is. But at the awning, I think, throws off the overall visual.
Not to me. I am concerned about the span of glass
But this,
The doors in the approved plan are symmetrical with the middle of the modern top story. And there's a big difference. Suddenly we have this kind of, on either side doors, it changes the entire feel. I didn't mind the second floor before, but only because of the way it looks at the first floor.
You can see the window.
Well, I disagree, Curtis, I'm sorry. And I find it...
But does anyone else? That's what I'm asking. Is anyone else?
I should be asking.
Okay with this? Ask.
Rob, are you...
I don't have any more questions. I'm generally fine with it. I'm generally fine with it.
Okay. Christina?
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it.
Do you think you actually can see what...
Am I what?
Are you satisfied with what they've shown you? And ready to vote on it?
I think that our view is distorted by the darkness of this, but I think that the two doors either side make sense, and I think that it gives access to the upstairs, and...
That's yours.
Yeah. So that's 7.
Jeff?
I have no objection.
All right. Guess we can vote. Motion to approve?
it has to be
Oh, it has to be
written.
closed for motion to close this application of 9, is it 9 Main Street?
Yes.
For written decision by council. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we close this application of number 9 Main Street for written decision by our council.
I second.
Aye.
Christina?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nay.
Thank you for your consideration.
Good luck. Okay, now let's see where we... Well, I believe...
I'm knowing where this goes.
What is that? Oh, it just goes, and it doesn't make any difference. That comes to the end of the applications in front of the board tonight. So I have a motion to close the meeting?
Do you want to discuss Labor Day? I'm sorry,
No,
Veterans Day?
we already did it. Oh, I'm pretty sure, which one?
Just discussion for Veterans Day.
Oh, it's,
I think we might have done that. It's not on, let me just see if it's on, hold on
it's
a
not
second.
even on the official calendar. Does anyone feel like they're going to be around on Tuesday, November 13th? And when they have a meeting? I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, so I believe we resolved,
I don't have it.
okay, let's discuss it again. Rob,
What's the question?
so on the official calendar, our meeting, the first meeting in November was not on it, but
It is now. It's up there.
it is? I have the old, okay.
No, I just checked it when you got it.
Okay. For the Tuesday, we can't do it on
Not the Tuesday, for Monday is on.
For Monday of Veterans Day?
It is on there right now.
Is Village Hall even functioning on Veterans Day?
We're talking about Monday, not Tuesday. You have a meeting possibly scheduled for the Monday before Veterans Day. The issue, I guess, is whether cancel the meeting or adjourn it to a different date.
No, it says Village is closed. Change ARB meeting to Tuesday.
Veterans Day
Not an option.
is...
That's what this says.
Okay, yeah, so it's closed.
Federal holidays on Monday. So, Rob, are you...
Moving to Tuesday? First meeting?
Yeah. I'm not interested, but if other people are...
I can do it, but if other people can't, I'm not going to push it.
What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, I'd rather not.
Cancel the meeting.
Oh, yeah, nix it, and if that means we double up the following meeting, I'm okay with that.
Yes. Okay, so we have to vote on this? Do I have a motion to... Cancel the meeting, the proposed meeting for... This isn't on...
November...
Sorry.
First meeting in November.
I've got it.
This is an
It's not on any agenda that I'm looking at, so I really can't say what date it is. Do you have it? How come you
You just make your vote.
November 12th. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Okay, great.
Second.
Okay.
Aye.
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 Great. Motion to close the meeting?
I make a motion that we close this meeting of the Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation for August 27th, 2018.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.